Hello there, YouTube and TikTok. This is my daily vlog for the 9th of December. December seems to be going fast at the moment. Feels like this entire year's gone fast, to be honest. But that aside, what did I do for the 9th? Well, I ran a test game for Sovereign Steel, which is my tabletop RPG. Started as house rules for D&D. But I've been writing in the background since about 2017. I've always wanted to write my own system. I'd used elements from Shadowrun, World of Darkness, GURPS, various other systems. And I was running a D&D campaign for a bunch of guys online. And the game went well, but I kept house ruling, and I kept adding in more and more house rules until eventually it became unrecognisable as D&D. And I was like, you know what, why don't I just take what I'm learning from these house rules, incorporate it into the game I've been building since 2017, and actually write my own system, as I've wanted to for years. So that's what I've been doing. Been doing a playtest campaign for a few months now. We did our first campaign, which was kind of just a little bit of exploration, a little bit of combat, just very traditional, go in, kill the monster, solve the mystery kind of thing. This new one I'm doing is a political and social experiment. It's a load of people stuck on a pleasure cruise diplomatic vessel, doing loads of trade negotiations, and the players are going in. I've told them, expect it to be like a murder mystery. You go in, you discover all the different allegiances between the dozens of NPCs, then something will happen midway through the cruise, and you will have to solve the problem in order to get the ship back safely. That's effectively the situation we're in. And it's going really well. Like, in one game I introduced over 20 NPCs, all with different allegiances, different backgrounds, different ideas of what they wanted to achieve. And it's very easy to make that just an info dump. So they're trying to have the players have influence over this and introduce all these NPCs, making them memorable enough that the players care who they are without overshadowing the players themselves. That's a challenge. So I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure I achieved it completely. I think I was possibly talking a little too much, focusing a little too much on the NPCs, because I was separating the players out a little, so they each had a chance to communicate with different people, because it was at a launch party, so they're there talking to people. I had to focus on one player for a few minutes, then move on to the next player. So we ended up with one player sitting there for well over 2 hours without anything to do, because they said that they were slinking into the background or just observing conversations for a while. So I had them do that, but that meant that they were sitting there doing nothing while all the other conversations that they were observing took place. Which is never a good thing. I've always been against the idea of having players observing for longer than an hour. If you're playing a tabletop RPG, usually you're only playing for around 4 hours. So if you've got a player sitting there for more than half the game doing nothing, are they even playing the game? And that's something I've always been trying to avoid, but there was no real way around it. I needed to introduce so many different characters, and I think the players all enjoyed what they were doing. It was a new experience for me trying to run this style of game. I've ran games for political intrigue and plenty of NPCs doing their own thing, but never something with dozens of NPCs all in one place, all having different motives, all trying to backstab each other and do things like that, with the players trying to uncover mysteries. This is a very different style of GMing, and it's quite the challenge. I'm really enjoying it. But outside of that, I have been trying to get back into reading. I realised something, that my reading has kind of suffered this year, and I do think that it was because of the death of my dad. I think that it's put me off doing a lot of my hobbies. I've barely played any video games this year. I've barely read any books this year. Even my writing on Sovereign Steel, despite the fact that has been something I've been very passionate about, has slowed and has stalled at points. And I think the loss of someone so key in my life has kind of left me spiraling for a lot of the year. Most of this year has been spent adjusting and accounting for the things he would do for me, the things he would be there for me to help with, that I now had to do on my own, or I had to cope with other family members who also had to cope without him. And it's been a challenge. I'm lucky in that I managed to make it almost to 40 without really experiencing grief. But it has been a challenge, it really has. And I think there are a few things that I've come out of this understanding. First of all, I understand loss a lot more. I understand the mentality, the impression that it leaves on you, the thought process. I've had to confront feelings and thoughts that I never really confronted before. So that's changed my perspective on a lot of things. And in a way, I'm glad I've had that experience, because it changes how I think on politics, how I think on philosophy. It's going to change how my writing is when it comes to writing my books and my game setting, because I have that experience to draw on. And I'm glad that that has been such a positive for me. It feels like it was the last gift he was able to give me, was more perspective on life and the realities of life. It's like it was the last thing my dad was able to pass on to me, is here's this last bit of profound knowledge of what life is like. And it is profound. It really is. I think the thing that upsets me the most, though, is the profound knowledge that since he's been gone, I have realised that I appreciate him way more now than I ever did while he was alive. I respect him more now than I ever did when he was alive. And I feel bad that I never got to express that to him directly, because I didn't appreciate just how good he was as a person and how much he did for people. That's probably the one thing that I regret out of that. I kind of wish that I'd been more vocal in appreciating him while he was still here. But maybe that's another lesson I can learn, to appreciate other people while they're still here. Anyway, enough of bringing down the conversation, because people don't want to hear about that. I've been looking to get back into reading. So I've started reading Empire of the Vampire. I've literally only just started this. I'm not very far in. Can't really give an opinion yet, but I'm enjoying what I'm reading so far, and I want to see how far this goes. Like, Jay Kristoff was someone I didn't feel very positive feelings towards. His Nevernight series had some prose choices that I felt were poorly managed and not to my taste, so I'm hoping that this changes my opinion on him, because I've heard really great things about it. So far, I'm enjoying it. Returning to this, though, The Lies of Locke Lamora. I started this a while ago for a book club that I'm no longer attending. I read most of it. I started doing chapter videos on my BookTube channel for it, and then things kind of fell out, and I started getting ill again, and I actually never finished this. So this book is the book that I intend to finish next. I'm going to continue reading this, and I want to make sure that I actually get to the end and finish it, because I don't finish books. I half read dozens of books, and it's getting ridiculous now. So that's the reading that I'm doing at the moment. I'm going to spend a bit of time actually getting some reading in, because it's been a while since I've properly sat and read, and I don't have anything else on today, so I'm going to go and do that now. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.